You do waste a little bit of time, but you don't waste even close as much time as if you're trying to go around. Just get Lord Darren's voice, storms are no problem. I thought that's just a one-time thing, but I'm pretty sure that doesn't work more than once, as far as I've heard. I think Raddy talked about it. I think you use it once and then it's gone. I couldn't beat some of those bosses just playing like normally on classic difficult. Can't even imagine trying the challenge. Yeah, it's annoying. I mean, I've beaten them on POTD when they came out, but it was really tough and I needed several days to actually figure out a strategy. But yeah, that's the thing, once you figure out a strategy to beat them normally, you can apply that to the challenges kind of as well. You have to put some thought into it. I did a lot of theory crafting. A lot. It's always when something feels tough to you on a lower difficulty, it's actually not that hard to do it on a higher difficulty because you had to figure out a strategy to beat them on the lower difficulty. Yeah, this scene is very doof. The scene is actually so stupid that it doesn't even make sense. And it takes forever too, like most cutscenes. The only good cutscene in the entire game is the helmsman from Dunwich. I could watch that shit over and over again. Landris. Welcome back, Megania. But yeah, a specific build definitely helps for the mega bosses. Both a priest or a blood mage multi-class makes the mega bosses a lot easier, or certain single classes, like for example a monk, makes them a lot easier. They all have a very similar game design. The only mega boss that has quite different design is the Sigil Master. But the Sigil Master is actually the easiest of the mega bosses in terms of time you put into it to figure out a strategy. But it's the only one that's really unique. The others are all very similar. Like, yeah, the Spooder boss has a lot of ads, but you realize very quickly how they work. And it's not really a mechanic at all. It's super obvious. And the oozes have the most annoying mechanic of them all. And even if you figure it out, it might still be hard to beat them. And the stupid giant construct is just a test of patience, really. It just takes forever to kill. But it doesn't have any mechanics at all. Except that it heals a fire and because of that can heal itself. But yeah, once you've done it, once you figured out some way to beat them, it is a lot easier to figure out a strategy for higher difficulties. Not saying it's easy for every class, as has been said. There's a lot of classes it's a lot easier for. Also, now we technically have 2 withdraws, but because we wasted one, we still only have 1. Also, I should set this up now. I can't combine these now because I'm not a troubadour. But basically when I use need raw damage against constructs and shit, I use this. And if I need healing, I use this. I mean, this also is healing, but this is more potent. So yeah. Has anyone beaten the ultimate challenge yet then? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it was actually Josh himself who was here in chat and said that no one has beaten it. So yeah. But yeah, someone with the nickname of J.E. Sawyer was here the other day, and at the same day Josh actually tweeted that I was streaming the challenge, and he said no one has beaten it yet, so I'm pretty sure that that was him. A chant with the 2 songs because I'm not a troubadour, so if I make a chant with the 2 songs, like the chant duration in this game, it's different than in PoE 1, where the low level chants have less duration. In this game, all chants have a 6-second base duration and like 3 seconds linger. And the only thing you can change in this game is the linger by having more intellect. But at this stage, with not really a lot of items for intellect or passive skills or whatever, I'd have a linger of about 4.5-ish seconds. So it wouldn't linger long enough for completing the other chant. The thing is, I could do it because the linger doesn't matter that much for ancient memory, because this is for 10 seconds. So I guess you're actually right, I could actually combine those. I kind of forgot that. So if we do this one first, that should be fine. Yeah, no, it's true, you can do that because, yes, the linger is like 4-ish seconds, but this is 10 seconds, so that's fine. That works. No, those 10 seconds work. They are not misleading. I just forgot about that. No, it won't stop. Those 10 seconds work. I've tested a bit around with the chants the other day, Lace. I don't know if you were here, but I've tested around a little bit with Salvation of Time and stuff like that. And you can actually extend all the durations of all the chants that put an effect on yourself, like the Ancient Memory. You can actually combine every single chant in the game that is like Ancient Memory, for example, also this one and this one. You can combine all of them together by just extending the duration. You don't need to chant them at all. So if you have Brilliant, which is going to be the idea of this build anyway, Brilliant and Salvation of Time, and you just switch between the chants, eventually you will have all the effects on you, and you don't need to actively chant it at all. Like, the only chants you need to actively chant is chants that apply effect on the enemy. This one doesn't work if you don't apply the effect on the enemy. It does give you this, which technically I guess you could prolong this after you've hit someone, but it doesn't put this on you if you're not hitting someone with it. This one only works if you're chanting, and my chat thing is backed again. Wait a sec. What's the fact? There we go. And this one also has to be put on the enemy. That would be nice if all the passives had unique icons, but they will have that in the community mod. And also someone called Bura will have made those passive items, icons. Hint, hint, hint. And it will be a great mod. Oh, also I saw the other day that the beta is already out for the mod. So that might also be something I do before I even finish the ultimate. Just install the beta of the mod and play around with it a bit. Because I'm pretty hyped for the better dragon chant. Because I miss my old cheesy PoE1 chanter days. Is there any way in the game, any item or any ability where you can extend negative or hostile effects on enemies? Like, you can extend beneficial effects on yourself, but is there any way to extend hostile effects? Enfeeble? Doesn't Enfeeble just steal healing? I'm actually not sure what Enfeeble does, because I'm not very knowledgeable. I do a potion. Guten Tag, Spinal Dash. Wie geht's? Oh, Enfeeble means also that all hostile effects last 50% longer. But can any class actually Enfeeble? I've seen enemies do that. Can a player character actually do that? No, the Forbidden Fist monk does not only put it on himself. Can the Forbidden Fist actually put it on enemies? That sounds insanely good. That sounds really good if that works. I mean, the Forbidden Fist monk already seems pretty good for the ultimate. But if you can put that on enemies... I thought it was only a debuff on self. But that would be pretty good against mega bosses. Because with a high resolve and everything. Yeah, the run is fine. I mean, we've gotten to this stage in the run a lot. It's not really an achievement or anything. I really want to get past Margren's Teeth for once. That would be really cool. Or I guess just get to level 16 actually. I think the highest I've gotten on the actual ultimate attempt was level 13 or 14. So if I could get to level 16, that would be really, really cool. But yeah, so far, we actually risked something. We fought Mariel the Mad as early as possible. I've never done that on the ultimate before. And I made a lot of mistakes, but it worked out. We happened to live. So that was really good. And I always go in here before I talk to the little girl with her little brother. Because I'm stupid. When would you consider doing the mega bosses? After Azongo? No, after Magrant's Teeth. The thing is, the times stack up for Eosa's challenge. Or for the timer. I don't even know if that's Eosa's. So, the more time you save from the previous timers, the more time you will have after it is Eosa's. Yeah, the later the better. Definitely. You want to have all your abilities online, all the items you need. If you need consumables, you want all those too. I mean, the mega bosses aren't the hardest. For some builds, I would consider stuff like Console Horde, quote unquote, harder, and like Forgotten Sanctum, because there's a lot of the spells in those areas. But it totally depends on the build, of course. For some builds, maybe the mega bosses are harder. But still, they're very high level. They have a lot of HP, a lot of defenses. So you want max accuracy against them. And when you level up, you get accuracy. The construct is level 30. So you don't really want to fight a level 30 enemy when you're low level yourself. Just for example. But yeah, the DLCs, the mega bosses, I'd see those at... I definitely see the DLCs as the most dangerous because a lot can go wrong during those. Once again, it totally depends on the build. There might be some builds which are like, hey, I have no problem with the spell because for clearing the DLCs, I don't need any buffs on me or something. But those type of builds might have more problems with the mega bosses then. But for the mega bosses, you want to build that buffs up to like infinite durations of everything. Ideally, you don't need it, but it will make them a lot easier. But a build like that gets hurt quite hard by the spells, so you have to just be careful around it. I mean, it's really easy to not get killed by it because you can just use summons and stay at range because the spells don't have a lot of range. Enfeeblement already prolongs itself by 50%. So, does it stack? Probably not. But it still seems really good. Yeah, that was a mistake in thinking. It can't really stack. It's an affliction and that's it. So is there any way to upgrade your afflictions to higher tier? Like the chanter can apply weakened. Is there any way to make the enemies weak to constitution affliction so it upgrades to enfeebled maybe? Is that even possible? Is there an item for that or something? None that I know of. I mean, weakened already seems pretty cool. I just don't see how you hit it against someone like Dorurugan with his 190 accuracy, 190 fortitude. You don't really get a lot of spell accuracy in this game. Implosion Third, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. I really wish you could get range accuracy on chance or something stupid. But I'm pretty sure you don't. I haven't tried it though. Haven't actually tested it. I mean, it's really good if it hits. But if you can't even hit him once because he has 190 fortitude, it doesn't matter if it would debuff his fortitude for future hits. If you can't hit him at all, like if you have 100 accuracy, say, or I mean, you probably can get like 110, 120-ish. Yeah, and with consumables, you can get a bit more, I guess. But he has 190 fort. Maybe you can graze him. It does raise your DPS if it hits, for sure. If it hits, it's great. Definitely. I can see that. I'm not doubting the strength of the debuff. Also, it's pretty much only the Rudugan where it's gonna be hard to hit it. I think against most other enemies with high fortitude, it's negated by the fact that it's a chant and that it just keeps applying passively. But yeah, I just see the problem with someone with that much fortitude that it seems impossible to hit him in the first place. It's definitely better than something like Wall of Draining. But also his will is not as high as his fortitude, for example. His will is like 167 and his fortitude is like 190. But yeah, the HP thing is definitely big. Would be cool if there was a passive that upgrade offensive affliction. Yeah, if it would be on something like a rogue or something, it would be so fitting. But yeah, it seems like there's nothing. You can use a stunning invocation to drop fortitude that targets deflection. Oh, that is actually true. Is the Rudugan stun immune though? I think he is. Let me check. Wiki. He is Mind Affliction immune, I know that, but he might not be stun immune. Let's see. Mind Affliction, Poison, Disease, Interrupts. Oh, he's not. Oh wait, Resistance, Body Affliction. But that still lowers his might though, even if he's resistant. He still will get staggered, so the might debuff will be the same. Yeah, that is actually great. That is actually great. So I guess you lower his might with this. Yeah, that should work. Dude, if you get one weaken off on him, it's probably gonna constantly stay on. There's one further problem though. He has high resolve, so the duration of this on him is very shitty. So that might be a big problem. I don't know what the base duration of this is. I'm pretty sure it's 10 seconds. So that might be a big problem. Ben Fiedels. I keep forgetting what all of these are. The scary face. Minus defenses and frightened. So how much is this? But it goes against will, so that's a little bit iffy again. It's minus 10, stacks with everything. I think the main problem is gonna be his high resolve. So I think the main problem is gonna be, even if you get these onto him, it's not gonna last long enough to matter. So for example, Here's the main problem. If you use an invocation, I guess with high dex it would be different. But if you use an invocation and you have to like recover to chant again, and this is only on him for like 2 seconds or so because of his high resolve, you probably don't even get to chant before this wears off. Probably. I haven't actually tested it, but it sounds iffy. Because I tried playing a Cypher against the Rudogan once, testing a Cypher, and I quickly found out that all the quote-unquote buffs that the Cypher has are not buffs, but stuff that you put on the enemy. And it was just very, very impossible to keep it on him for long enough for it to matter. I think I actually had an Ascendant that had Ascendancy prolonged with Salvation of Time. So I had infinite Ascendancy. I had 3 Cypher spells that I could spam. And I also had like BDD and whatnot, so I couldn't die. But still, even spamming stuff at him didn't really matter at all. Because, yeah, it just wore off so quickly that it was a waste of time even casting it on him. Forbidden Fist and Cypher disintegration. So I really have to look up this Forbidden Fist stuff because I keep being confused by it. Yeah, he is resistant to body afflictions. I think all the mega bosses might actually be resistant to body afflictions, except for maybe the Sigil Master. But the Sigil Master itself isn't a threat anyway. It's the Sigils. Yeah, they made them pretty foolproof, the mega bosses. I have to say, as bad as the design is from the mega bosses from a way too boring perspective, on the other side, the design of them making them really hard to kill, that really worked quite well. I mean, you can still kill them quickly with buffed up Scordios and stuff like that. But killing them via debuffs is pretty hard. If you have debuffs you deliver with your weapon, then sure, like the bleeding cut and stuff like that, that works pretty well because you have 0 recovery. Still alive, I'm impressed, yeah. I mean, it's not a matter of like knowing, oh, I don't have enough state of hand, I need 6 for this. It's not really a matter of knowing how to stay alive, it's more my, first of all, getting distracted, but also sometimes impatience. But I have gotten very far on TOI, so I technically know how to do it. I just sometimes choke, and when I choke hard. Oh, also Yoshi, you went here earlier. I actually fought Mariel the Mad as early as possible. You always want me to fight early. I did. I went there when I didn't even have a second withdraw. Oh, you did see it. And thank you for curing my insomnia with your streams and explanations. I mean, you're still here, aren't you? Just found a new game, Mutant Year One. Oh, I've heard about that game. But yeah, it does seem to be a super dope game. Yeah, I don't want to know. I wish more people would stream CRPGs in general. It's such a shame that like people don't seem to enjoy CRPGs as much as like MOBAs and shit. Not everyone likes PoE too, but CRPGs are amazing. But I guess it doesn't appeal to the younger, or I don't even want to say in general to the younger audience, but to most of the younger audience. Like most people who like these type of games are old farts like me. Not saying all of them are, but most. I mean like 30 plus. Or maybe 25 plus, I guess. It's probably a more broad way to say it. 25 years and older. Kids with their Fortnites, yeah. Most people prefer that. If they're really young, at least. Does Langard safeguard override Crucible of the Suffering? Most. Yeah, but what Bora is saying. So most active abilities and also like abilities plus consumables don't stack. But if there's a passive, meaning if it's on the right side of the tree, it stacks. Like for example, the Paladin has something that gives you armor class that's on this side, so that stacks with Safeguard. But if you actively use something, then it usually doesn't stack with consumables, or one exception, consumables food, what you rest with, this always stacks. But yeah, if you use like consumables in combat, potions and such, it doesn't. Oh, also modals don't stack with actives, but do stack with passives. No problem. Favorite CRPG? Shadows of Arm, Baldur's Gate 2, by far. I could just play that all day with SCS mod. The thing that makes Baldur's Gate great for me is the SCS mod. When I heard of the challenge, I was happy you're gonna play it. Now I hate it. I'm watching the same thing over and over again. I mean, what do you expect, Yoshi? No one has beaten the challenge yet. And I probably care a lot less about getting it first than a lot of people do. And still, no one has beaten it yet. Wish they made Septerra Core HD or more game in that style. That sounds interesting. I've actually never seen that game. As you guys know, I haven't seen most of the games. I can't go in here. Are you serious? Okay. You get XP for this, right? Yeah. Do you? It's a game of 2001, right? I think they do a PS3. I think because they're owned by Microsoft now, it was sad that they won't, but I'm not entirely sure. But as far as I've heard, there won't be a PS3, but there might always be a surprise. Also, XVamp, thank you for the follow. And Implosions Heard, I'm sorry I missed your follow. Thank you as well if you're still here. My brother somehow got it. I was watching him play it with excitement. That sounds awesome. I mean, we're not always, as I said earlier, Yoshi, I'm not always just gonna keep playing this, even if I don't manage to beat the challenge anytime soon. I will get to a point where I want to do something else in between myself. But it's just right now, I haven't run out of steam yet. So I want to keep going. New game with PoE mechanics, but a different universe. I mean, most of the mechanics are solid. What I'd like to change for the mechanics is the stacking rules. They're really, really stupid right now. Either make them more universal, which wouldn't be preferred to me, but it would be better than the current system, or make some actual rules that apply everywhere. The follow alerts are broken or disabled, only the list works. That is really weird because I redid the alert thing today before the stream, so they're definitely not disabled. But I already considered actually going back to stream labels Megania, because I've also gotten several times that people told me that their sub wouldn't show up because they didn't share their sub. And that might maybe be better on stream labels. Yeah, they will keep making CRPGs, I hope. I mean, I don't know, CRPGs maybe not. They will keep making games. They're gonna make Outer Worlds now. But CRPGs don't seem to make a lot of profit, sadly. No, PoE 2 did not make a profit. It was far enough off profit that Microsoft said there's not going to be a PoE 3, as far as I know. I mean, yesterday I didn't die because I didn't listen to anyone, Yoshi. I was just distracted. It happens. I'm only human. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be more concentrated, but I also want to read chat. Isn't it called stream labels? Or is it called something different? I forget what it's called. But the other thing that's not Streamlabs. Okay, I don't know why I keep checking this guy. What else were we doing? Oh yeah. Oh, was it Stream Elements? Yeah, maybe. Probably. Most likely. Yeah, CRPGs, it's really bad. I really, really like CRPGs, and they don't seem to make a lot of profit. But there's hope, because stuff like Kingmaker seem to make a lot of profit. Like, there's gonna be a Kingmaker Enhanced Edition. No, Gaming for Good is really bad. I used Gaming for Good for quite a long time, and it is so much worse than Streamlabs. It's insane how bad it is. Yeah, the speculating doesn't help. That's why I say I don't really know if it's true. I just heard, and we'll see. I just relay the stuff that other people told me, but I'm not an official about that or anything. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just relaying the speculations. Well, at least they said this was the final patch for PA2. Yeah, the problem with the market for CRPGs, as I said, it's more the slightly older people. There's always exceptions for that. There's always young kids who like stuff that older people like. But it's just not the general public. It's not a lot of them. And kids are the future, so if kids don't like something or prefer something else, then that something else will always be what makes money. I mean, I wouldn't say it made no profit, but apparently it made as little profit that, at least according to the rumors, Microsoft said it wasn't enough. That almost went badly. On turn-based, first of all, I've played a full playthrough of turn-based, and I can't entirely recommend it. It's not very polished. But classes like this, with like a priest in them, or with like a blood mage in them, where you can like prolong buffs, are really good on turn-based as well. Like a lot of classes that are good on real time are also good on turn-based. But auto attack, like attack speed classes, are really bad on turn-based. Anything where you rely on attacking really quickly. Certain items, like the red hand arquebus, where you insta-kill vessels with 2 shots, don't seem to work on turn-based. So stuff like that is worse. I think everything that is dex-based in general is worse on turn-based. When did I use it? I used it for a long time. I used it shortly after I stopped using Streamlabs or Streamlabels. I don't know which one it was. Whatever I used originally, someone told me, use gaming for good. It's better. It might actually have been you who told me that. I don't remember who it was. But I used it for very long because I didn't have a lot of ideas of what I was doing. Like I was when I just started streaming, so I used it for over half a year, I would imagine. But with time, I just realized how bad it was. It kept skipping alerts. Like, yeah, right now the alerts don't seem to be showing up on OBS or on stream or whatever, but at least I get most of them. At least I see when something happened, and at least the other thing shows everything, this thing here. But with Gaming for Good, I had the problem that it wouldn't make a notification, it wouldn't give a notification at all, a lot of times. Among other problems, there was other stuff as well. It might have changed since then. Stuff like this often rapidly changes. Like Streamlabs OBS, when I tried it, was really bad. And now people tell me it's really good. So it might be really good now, Gaming for Good. It's just that I made bad, had bad, what's the word? It didn't work out for me, so now I don't want to do it again. Don't want to use it again. I mean, Streamlabs might pay people to say things, but as I said, I started out using Streamlabs very shortly, and then I realized it wasn't really for me, and someone told me use Gaming for Good, and I used it for the longest time by far. But right now I'm definitely happier with Streamlabs than I was with Gaming for Good, out of my own experience. No matter if it pays people to say things or whatever, they never paid me anything. I know that much. Okay. Yeah, Stream Elements sounds like a good option. Mostly because I haven't tried it yet. And the stuff I tried wasn't ideal. Oh, I never talked to the guy outside to turn in that quest. So we'll have to do that when we come back for the Badado helmet. And for the other quest as well. When we have more sleight of hand. Also, I'm gonna end in about 20 minutes-ish. Let's hope it has long brass. I mean, didn't turn-based mode actually get some sales in? When they introduced turn-based mode, it then raised the sales a bit. I'll actually buy one of these. Usually you find them, but we'll need more than one Adra potion anyway. So it's fine if we buy one. I think we need fangs and not tusks. Which sadly there's only one right now. But yeah, now we can do an Adra potion, which will be very helpful. That was weird. Why did that not... Why was that grayed out? What's the problem here, officer? Okay. Let's not talk about that. You need question mark, but it wasn't grayed out, or it wasn't red, or whatever. So I had it. So yeah, that was weird. Guess we still need the gloves for that. Also we can craft at least one. They said in the investor info that turn-based mode spiked the sales, so that's a good thing. For sure. The other info, or the other rumor, was that like sales weren't good enough or whatever. Might have been before the turn-based thing. Oh, for these we need reagent as well, huh? Interesting. But yeah, reagents are pretty common. Usually you find like 10 of them over here. But it is random what you do find, so sometimes you don't. Yeah, it definitely was a disappointment. I'm pretty sure PoE 1 wasn't, or they wouldn't really have made PoE 2. I'm really surprised that it was a disappointment. But I guess it's a problem whenever you make a successor to something, the hype just isn't the same. There's a lot of exceptions to that though. Also, I didn't just check if I actually got a reagent there. I did. So yeah. Now a lot of these stacks should have them. It's usually like that. If one stash has it, then all the others have it too. This one here should have more as well. Yep, there's another one. Yeah, I thought so too. I don't want to know. I thought it was very successful. But maybe it was just a Kickstarter. I don't remember. Maybe it was just because, as Burra says, maybe it was just because everything was direct profit. Yeah, that might have been the problem, that they advertised PoE 1 as Baldur's Gate Revival, and it actually didn't turn out to be a Baldur's Gate Revival for most people. So that maybe some people were disappointed and were like, I was cheated. And that's why they didn't buy Deadfire. What function does the statue here giving advice has? I think the statue tells you something about getting into Arkamir's mana. Like, you find a dead thief in Arkamir's basement, and you can read the combination of the lock of the soul. So I guess that's just a hint, like find my dead companion's body and it will tell you the combination or something like that. But it's more for a first playthrough, like talking to it doesn't really give you anything. Wasn't there a Kickstarter for PoE 2 as well though? Or was there no Kickstarter at all for PoE 2? Elfminster. Yeah, I think that's a fair assumption. I don't want to know. Oh yeah, the setting. The setting is definitely a problem. The alert showed with no sound. That is weird because I had a sound. The alerts are really buggy, that's for sure. But yeah, thank you for the follow. Is it Ferch X? Sorry, I'm so bad with pronouncing these names. And Xvamp, in case I missed your follow, I'm really forgetful today. Thank you. It's Ferch. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm also German, so my English isn't the best. I don't really know what fig means. You guys keep saying that. I have no idea what that means. Once again, my English is very limited. I thanked X-Farm twice. Yeah, I kind of felt like I thanked him, but hey, better thank him twice than not thank him at all. It is another crowdsourcing platform. Oh, I see. So it did get crowdsourced, but not by the same platform. I see. Yeah, I think the same, Ratty. I think a lot of people expected PoE 1 to be more like Baldur's Gate, to be more like Kingmaker maybe. Like, that was what Kingmaker actually was. A lot of people expected PoE 1 to be that, and it wasn't, so they didn't buy PoE 2. Fig is a crowdfunding site similar to Kickstarter with the option of actually investing in a game also. Right. Fergus is a founding member. Not only do crowdsourcing, but you can also invest money. Alright. So it's a bit more sellout, basically. People buy the rabbit in a bag, yeah? And now that the first game has been out, they're like, hey, I didn't like that game, so I'm not going to buy the successor. I mean, to be fair... Oh, they do mainly indie games, okay. To be fair, there was a lot of like trailers and stuff about PoE, but me, for example, I didn't find out about PoE 1 until it actually came out. Like, I bought it one day or so after the release, actually, because I didn't know about it. I was like, what the fuck? How did I not know about that? But that always happens to me because I don't follow new games that come out a lot. And so I didn't really have a chance to look up if their claims were right or not, whether they're a successor of Baldur's Gate. But yeah, they were not, but I didn't care. I really liked PoE 1, and I liked it much, much more than Deadfire, as you guys know. But yeah, there was other people that were just stricken by the fact that it wasn't. And I can totally see that. It just wasn't a D&D game. It has a very cool and inventive combat system, but it's just not D&D, you know? Yeah, we can only speculate. I kickstarted 1 but had no idea about 2 until it was out. That is very interesting. I guess because it was on the different platform. But yeah, that is extremely interesting. I mean, I was one of those people that not only knew about Deadfire Advance, but was very hyped about it because multiclassing is my favorite thing in CRPGs. Like, multiclassing gets me all tingly inside. So to have that in a Pillars of Eternity game just extremely appealed to me. But the main reason why I was hyped for it is, I keep saying this again and again, but you know me, that's how I roll. I repeat stuff a lot, explain stuff a lot. And you all love that about me, Kappa. But one of the reasons why I was hyped for the multi-class is because classes had weaknesses in PoE 1. And I was like, hey, now we can combine a class that has this strength and this weakness with another class that will counteract it. And it just didn't happen. They actually made the classes so similar in this game, which for me personally was a big disappointment. It isn't really that bad if you think about it. It's not that big of a deal if you think about it. But for me personally, it was a big deal. Also, I don't think we need a cracker for this guy this time, because our stealth is a lot higher. Like, I haven't been putting anything in the mechanics, all into stealth. This should be pretty doable. Yeah, definitely wasn't a spiritual successor. Yeah, easy. So now we have some aesthetics buff, I guess, which is pretty cool. Also, you can sell this for big money. It's like 2 or 3k. It's question mark. CP. Bioshock as spiritual successor of System Shock. Yeah, that's a totally different story. It's just a completely different design. I can see how people who worked at Black Isle and Baldur's Gate worked at Obsidian, obviously, but the design choices are just different. What is the appeal of multiclassing compared to classless? I personally do not like classless at all, but that's just a personal preference. I really like Divinity 2, don't get me wrong, but one of the main things, part of the reason why I don't like the replayability as much of a game where there's classless is, yeah, it's really good, you have all the freedom in the world, you can do anything, and you can respec and whatnot, you can be anyone, but I just don't see the replayability in games like that. Like, you can try out all you want in a single playthrough, if you have a respec option, which in Divinity, for example, you do, in Divinity 2, at least. So for me, it's just the replayability. I think it's actually a great system if you have freedom. In a way, it's a great system, but on the other hand, it also makes playing the game again less interesting. Yeah, it is true, Elfminster. It's very expensive to make games. And yeah, we people that like criticize and whatnot, it's very easy to do that. But to actually make the game is a difference. What does Bioshock have in common with System Shock? Word shocker name. I would imagine it's actually the direct successor, but I haven't played either of those games. Yeah, Baldur's Gate D&D had no balance, that is true. The balance thing is something that really interested me about PoE 1 though. Like, I found that I was one of the few people that didn't really, back then, didn't really mind all the balance upgrades. But these days I'm quite different. These days I'm always pissed off about balance in a single player game. But yeah. I think my chat app will not unbug today. It just doesn't let me click through. It really wants to tell me the thing you guys keep telling me about the second monitor. Let's just move this bitch. Oh, now I can't click there. Awesome. completely different games. System Shock 2 is on the list, so we'll see eventually. I remember seeing footage of Bioshock as like this underwater horror game or something like that. I mean, it's not exactly a horror game. It's more like a shocker game, I guess. But I don't think I've ever seen anything about System Shock. I guess it's really old. You can loot all by pressing E. Oh, that is interesting. I did not know that. I mean, that's pretty common in most games, but I didn't know it was in this game. That is really good to know. Thank you, Karen. Okay, Vela, come. Say your piece. She doesn't want to do it anymore. She's so disappointing sometimes. Maybe she's like, you've heard it before. Not gonna say it again. In my opinion, System Shock 2 is the best game ever. Oh, that sounds really good. I did not like Bioshock as much, but I would still say it was a spiritual successor. System Shock was like 2000. Yeah, I mean, compared to when I actually started playing games again after playing them as a kid, like 90 to 95, I started playing games again in 2004. So in general, that's a period of time I haven't played a lot of games. Like, yeah, obviously I've played Baldur's Gate and stuff like that, but usually I've played games that are newer than that. And not even close to all of them. 98 probably. 99. That is really old for my standards. One of the games, of the really, really old games I kind of want to play is Ultima. Ultima Online or whatever it's called. But it seems so complicated. With these private servers and whatnot. But I really like to try a super old school game like that, because I've never played anything like that. Because once again, when I was a kid, I had like a Sega Master System and a black and white Game Boy back in 1990. And a little bit later I got a C64 from Commodore and a Nintendo, Super Nintendo, or whatever they were called. So I wasn't really playing any PC games or anything back then. Yeah, there's too many games in a genre these days. Except for CRPGs, there's not a lot of those. Isometrics. But I feel like stuff like Baldur's Gate 2 still defines the genre. But yeah, it is a CRPG, so once again, there's not that many games in the genre anyway. Yeah, but see you, good night. I will stop quite soon as well, because I'm tired as well. But thanks for stopping by, and thanks for all the great insight that you always provide. Usually Radi is the only inside guy here. Thurston used to be a big inside guy, but he isn't here that often anymore. Yeah, I've heard that about Planescape Torment a lot, and I haven't ever played it, so I can't be the judge of that. But I definitely need to play it at some point. But I do see that I'm probably not gonna like Planescape Torment as much as Baldur's Gate 2, because as much as I've heard, it just has a lot less combat. It's a little bit similar to the Tides of the Numenera that I did play and that I did enjoy, but that just doesn't have a lot of combat. Yeah, so see guys, this is interesting. You remember the last couple days when I was rambling about these chests? If you use your key on this chest first, the key will expire. But you can actually, if you use a key here, then you can use it on both chests. That is bullshit. I knew there was something fishy going on. Because I knew for a fact I've gotten that chest with a key before. I don't even know if there's anything good in here. Oh, this is 3k though. So that's obviously where's the cracker. PSD is only if you're a story fan. Much weaker gameplay. Yeah. I mean, I am. Don't get me wrong. I do like games with a good story, but I don't usually play games for the story. I mainly play them for the gameplay. But there's games like Jade Empire where the gameplay isn't really that amazing, but it's still one of my favorite games ever. Game-breaking bug. I mean, I think it's intended that you get both chests with a key. I think it's a bug. It's either a bug or it's a trap that you have to do them in a specific order. An idea for a new type of MMO. I'm not the biggest MMO guy. But yeah, do tell. It's more adventure oriented. I mean, I do like adventure oriented games. As I said, if the story is really, really, really cool, I like it. But yeah, the only MMO I ever liked was RuneScape. I've tried a couple, and I never stuck with any of them. But yeah, I'm not really that big into the social factor of those type of games. Like when I played RuneScape, social factor on MOBAs like Smite. Yeah, for sure, because you group together and you like team up against enemies. But for something like MMOs, I mean, I probably should have played something like WoW, which I never did. For that. Yeah, for WoW, I can see that. I can totally see it. Raid on WoW. I mean, there are raids on RuneScape, but it's a late-ish feature. Wait, did I ever buy the gloves? I'm the worst. Most hours I played in the game was Final Fantasy XI, the MMO one. I mean, I have yet to play any of the Final Fantasy, but I have no idea why I've never played them, because they are amazing. I really, really loved a very similar game back in the day on Game Boy. It's called Golden Sun. So I can totally see how an MMO with that would be amazing. Oh wait, did you actually write your idea, Megania? But yeah, actually doing stuff like that, it does take a team. Also guys, I do have to end the stream. But at least we'll be fresh for Alchemy tomorrow and not die there for no reason again. Final Fantasy Tactics is the first one I would recommend. Oh yeah, that's very important for me, the order in which I start playing it, because I kind of wanted to start at 1 and 2, but they're only on Game Boy, so I'd have to play them through an emulator, which I don't really mind doing, but I don't know if it's the best thing to do because graphics and stuff. But yeah, Tactics is actually on Steam, so I could just buy that normally. And yeah, Golden Sun is so amazing that I still play it these days on an emulator. I just love Golden Sun. It's so cool. I've actually never played the successors. I've actually never played Golden Sun 2 or 3 or whatever they're called. I've only ever played the first one, but I've played it a lot. Keeping my idea for now. The guy now wants to surprise us with it. That is fine. Be selfish about it. Kappa. Oops. What? The fuck is that? Final Fantasy are very linear. Yeah, that is very true. It's the same for Golden Sun. That's why speedruns for those games take forever. Oh. Actually keep this, maybe? Question mark. Nah. They're all fine, right? Oh no, the pistol is exceptional. Ah, I see, that's why that was overpaid. Right. That's cool. Yeah, the cutscenes that cannot be skipped. And then you have stuff like the only Final Fantasy game I ever watched someone play, because I haven't played them yet, so I didn't really want to spoiler myself too much, was Final Fantasy VII. And there's a section where you also have a time limit, but during that time limit you can actually run into fights if you're unlucky. It's so hilarious. And then also stuff like cage swinging and the most hilarious stuff that would so fuck over a speedrun. Golden age for gaming industry now. Yeah, that's true. There are untapped markets like Asia and Africa, but also stuff is sold a lot cheaper there. They don't make as much money. I mean, I guess once those markets get more open, the good thing about those is that there's so many people there. Yeah, you said that video games make more than movies, which is insane. That is absolutely insane. Someone said, well, movies are shit. I mean, most movies are shit, don't get me wrong. But they're not interactive is the main problem, I think. A lot of great movies. Yeah, the market size is really big. In those markets, that's for sure. There's a lot of turnover for sure. It's not as much profit, because they have to sell it cheaper in like Africa and Asia. Oh, you were talking about comparing it to movies. Alright. Alright guys, I'm gonna end the stream here. Thanks so much for coming by, and tomorrow's Sunday, right? So I'll see you tomorrow. There's not gonna be a stream on Monday, but there is gonna be a stream tomorrow. And hopefully this time we'll actually get far. Yeah, thanks so much for saying hi, Elfminster. And bye-bye.